Hello, I am Kimberly Gallagher, co-founder of Learning Herbs, and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making some chickweed pesto, and this was one of the favorites for my family as the kids were growing up. One of the things that I think parents often struggle with is how to get green food into their young children, and pesto is a most amazing way to do this. So I've found that my kids just really loved to eat pesto on crackers or pasta, all the different ways. So I think you're really going to enjoy this recipe, whether you have kids or you're just making it for yourself. So we're going to get started. All right, so I thought we would start our pesto making just by talking a little bit about chickweed and how you can know that you have found chickweed when you're going out looking for these little spring greens. So as you can see, it has these sweet little white flowers. They're 5-petaled flowers, and they're quite tiny. You can also see that the leaves are opposite branching, so they grow across from each other like this. And one of my favorite definite identifications of chickweed is that it has a tiny line of hairs along one side of the stem. And you may or may not be able to see it in this video. I cannot see it at this moment because I don't have my glasses on. But when you have your glasses on and you look very closely, you'll see one line of hairs that goes just along one side of the stem. So that's a really good indicator that you have found chickweed. It also has these kind of oval shaped leaves. And once you get to know chickweed, yeah, you'll have a sense of it. Like it has a definite beautiful energy to it. That also, it's like when you get to know a person, right? You just don't have to think about their identifying characteristics. You just recognize them. Mm-hmm. So you will get to that point. But as you're learning, these are some things you can look for. You also often will find chickweed in the summertime. I often find chickweed growing in shady places. It likes more shady places. Like when we would go to the farm to harvest it, I would find it like under the leaves of bigger plants, like under the squash plant leaves. There would be a patch of chickweed, or down kind of, under the other crops. So Kira brought this chickweed for us to use today for our pesto. So do you want to tell us where you found this chickweed?
Yeah, this chickweed was growing at this beautiful garden patch that I have access to. And you're right, I didn't think about it. It's growing on the garden beds closest to the fence, closest to the line of trees. Mm-hmm. And it likes to grow in and under and around all of the miner's lettuce everywhere. So there might be some miner's lettuce still kind of hiding in this little bushel.
Yeah, so as you gather it, you'll often find grass or she's saying miner's lettuce or dandelions. There's a piece of grass. So you can just, kind of sort through and pick those pieces out of your chickweed bunch. Okay, so we're just going to go through the ingredients that you'll need for this recipe. I'll talk about these things that are out on the counter and give you some options too. So we're going to need 2 cups of chopped chickweed. Chickweed is one of my favorite plants to use for pesto making, but you can also combine chickweed with the more traditional pesto, basil. People often make pesto with basil, so you can combine chickweed and basil half and half. You can put dandelion leaves in, you can put nettle leaves in, mm-hmm. You can put cleavers, like all of these beautiful spring greens that come up this time of year can be added to the chickweed pesto or substituted. So, you'll get different tastes. Chickweed has a pretty mild flavor. So dandelion has a little bit more bitter, so you probably don't want to make a whole batch of just dandelion leaf pesto unless you love the bitter flavor. So yeah, just notice that you'll get different flavors depending on which plants you choose. And different benefits, like each plant is going to have a little bit different benefits for your system. And then we are going to add a half a cup of olive oil. So I have that measured out for us. And then we have 3 tablespoons of pine nuts here. You can also substitute like sunflower seeds or, other kinds of nuts if you don't have pine nuts. But I love the pine nuts the best. So that's, if you have those are ideal. And then we also have some salt. So we're just going to add a little bit of salt, about a quarter teaspoon of salt to our pesto. And then garlic is a primary ingredient in pesto. So we have lots of garlic here. We're just going to add 2 cloves of garlic for the 2 cups of chickweed. So those are the ingredients and the proportions that you'll need as you're making your pesto, and we're going to put it all into the blender and blend it up to make the pesto in the end. And I have this little recipe here, and just to bring you a little bit into my world, like you can see how kind of ratty this recipe card is. So you could tell that this is something that was made a lot as the kids were growing up. So it's kind of stained, and it's got some wear to it. So this is our pesto recipe from when the kids were little. And then I just wanted to share with you that my grandpa actually made this little stand for this size recipe cards, because my grandmother used these little note cards for her recipes. So just having this little stand and my ratty old pesto recipe is actually kind of something that's dear to my heart. So I thought I'd just share that piece with you as well. This reminds me of my grandpa down in his shop, and and just all the years with the kids. So again, just bringing in the family memories as I go through this time of grieving, and kind of come to terms with empty nesting. I don't know how many of you are out there empty nesting, but took me by surprise how challenging it is when the kids fly the coop and you're kind of left here at the house. And so it's feeling sweet to me to make some of these recipes that we used to make together as a family. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up this chickweed, and as I'm doing that, we're going to have a little conversation about chickweed and some of the things that chickweed is helpful for in our systems. So, Kira, when you brought me some chickweed pesto just the other day, and I know you've been making quite a bit of it, so I'd love for you to share a little bit about why you interact with chickweed. Like, what are some of the things that chickweed brings into your life?
Yeah, I honestly love chickweed because it feels to me like it just helps get everything moving. Mm-hmm. It just feels like it's helping me to like release stagnant stuff that you kind of build up, especially over the winter. And I know that it's been really helping my digestion, and even helps, it feels like it's helping my inflammation, which is really nice. So it just kind of, to me, feels like this general all-around aid to help me loosen up. And I'll be honest, I've been eating a lot of it. So
beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of chickweed and a lot of dandelion greens. So
very good.
Yeah. Good way to start the spring.
Yes, yeah, like all these spring greens that are coming out are so good for our lymphatic system, right? It helps move that lymph, helps get things moving, like you said, after the heavier foods of winter. Chickweed is also like an amazing food in itself. Like, it's just full of good vitamins and minerals that help to nourish us. If you've been ill for a while, chickweed is a really nice first food to reintroduce. It's so mild and it's so gentle and helpful for our bodies. It's cooling. It's just going to really help bring this nourishment back to your system. And it actually can help bring out the nutrients from other foods that you eat after it. So it's a pretty magical plant. And one that, we've just used a lot in a lot of different ways. It's also, really good for the skin. So you can use chickweed to make a salve or a lotion, infuse it in oil and create a salve with it. It's a vulnerary, so it helps to heal wounds. So there's all kinds of ways that you can bring this plant into your life. Yeah, you can make it into pesto like this, but you can also just pick it and eat it straight from the garden. from your yard, wherever it's growing. And it's a really great addition to your spring salads. So it can just be a fresh salad green, which takes, kind of the least preparation. You're just kind of breaking it up and putting it in the salad along with the lettuce. Mm-hmm. So this is a great nourisher for your body, and also, just a wonderful plant to introduce in the spring to help move that stagnation and help with the digestion.
Oh yeah, I did make some chickweed ice cubes.
Oh, nice.
That I'm excited to put in smoothies and yeah.
So how did you make the ice cubes?
I can't remember if I blanched the I don't think I did. I think I just ground up the chickweed in a blender with some water, with a little bit of water, and then just put it in an ice cube tray.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is a great way to store the spring greens for later, so that we can get that nourishment even after the chickweed maybe is hiding a little bit more in the heat of the summer or in the winter when it's not up yet. So, yeah. All right, so I'm going to put this first cup of chickweed into the blender, and then I'm going to chop a second cup of chickweed. And while I do that, while we were setting up for this shot, Kira was sharing a story with me that I would love for you to share.
Yeah.
For our viewers.
Yeah, definitely. I was just sharing how I planted a bunch of yummy edibles in this really lovely garden where I got the chickweed today, and how all of it has been eaten by rabbits, but there's all these beautiful weeds everywhere. So it's, to me, just like this most abundant garden, even though all the things that I planted and had intended to harvest are no longer there. There's tons of chickweed and red dead nettle and dandelion. Yeah, it's amazing. Tons of Miner's lettuce. Wow, so much Miner's lettuce.
I just love that story.
Yeah.
So many of the things that we think of as weeds are some of the most nutritious things in the garden or at the farm. And, when the kids were little, we would go to the CSA farm and go out and do the U-pick. And we were always asking the farmers, do you mind if we pick your lamb's quarter and your chickweed? And they're like, have at it, like they're totally happy for us to pick their weeds. And we were like, this is so great. It's such an abundant place to find the weeds that we need to make our nutritious meals at home. Those were actually some of the most nutritious things on the farm. One thing that I'm just noting as I'm chopping this up is that chickweed can be kind of leggy, like it can have these long stems, and when you put that in the blender, it can sometimes get stuck around the blades. And so when you're chopping, just kind of be mindful of getting those stems chopped up as much as you can, because that just helps the blender along in its work. So
yeah, that happened in my food processor.
Yeah.
And they were just whipping them around in circles. And I was like, oh.
Sometimes the Vitamix even chokes on chickweed because of the stems. So I'm being really mindful today of getting them as small as I can. Yeah, and so you need 2 cups and, 2 heaping cups, packed cups, as much chickweed as you want to push in there because it's so good for us. It's great. So I'm just going to do a lot of chickweed here so that we have really yummy pesto. We've got an abundance of chickweed from Kira's garden, so we may as well pack it in.
Is it possible to over harvest chickweed? Is it ones you have to be careful about that, or not really?
Well, chickweed usually grows quite abundantly, and when we're harvesting chickweed, we're harvesting kind of the tops, right? We're leaving the roots in the soil, so it will regenerate from the roots. So you don't have to worry too much about over harvesting. But I do like to leave some leaves on there, so that the chickweed will continue to grow. If you harvest it too low to the ground, I think it's harder for it to come back just from the roots. But also, I haven't really tested that out. But it feels better to me to leave a little bit of leaf on there if you can. I'm going to go ahead and put this next cup into the Vitamix. Then I think I'm going to put the pine nuts in. So again, this is 3 tablespoons of pine nuts already measured. You can put sunflower seeds, and then we're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to do kind of a pinch of salt there. And then we're going to need 2 cloves of garlic, so I'm going to go ahead and get these cloves. So we're going to do 2 cloves of garlic in this pesto. So I'm just going to chop it. And this is the way I like to chop garlic. I like to just kind of smush it, and then the peels come off pretty easily usually. We'll see if it makes a liar out of me. Yeah, so it just pulls right off.
Garlic is good in so many things.
Yeah, the garlic is medicine too, right?
That is the other only thing that is growing in the garden.
Oh, garlic?
Is garlic. Tons of garlic everywhere.
Garlic and spring greens.
Yeah.
Pretty good medicine there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love to include as much garlic in my system as possible when it's like cold and flu season, because it really helps to clear the cold and flu viruses from our bodies. So, and this is a great way to get like fresh garlic into your body if like chewing on a clove of garlic is too much for your system, which some people can do that, but for me it's just, I can't, it's too much. So we're not cooking the pesto, we're just blending it, so we're getting raw garlic into our bodies, which is so fabulous. So yeah, I just chopped the garlic kind of small and then add it to the Vitamix. We've got all of our dry ingredients in there, and then we're going to just pour in our olive oil. I think I'm going to grab my rubber spatula so that I get every last drop of olive oil in there. And having enough liquid in makes a big difference for the blender being able to blend this up. So getting your full half cup in there is great. One other thing that is generally added to pesto is cheese. So people will add a half a cup of Parmesan cheese to this mixture, or you can use nutritional yeast if you need to be dairy-free. I need to be dairy-free, so I'm not putting the Parmesan in, and I actually just love the pesto just this way, so I don't even add the nutritional yeast, but that's a nice addition as well if you want to do that. So you have a choice around adding some cheese to your pesto. Yeah, I liked it when I could add Parmesan, but it's not a good option for me at this point. So I've got my pesto ingredients in there, and I'm going to go ahead and blend it together. All right, and there you have it, chickweed pesto.
Yum.
I'm gonna go ahead and just pour it into this bowl so you can see texture. It's a little bit thicker when you add cheese, obviously, but you have just a kind of creamy pesto that could be put onto pasta. You can also just dip crackers into it and eat it that way.